Buongiorno a tutti.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pierluigi Bonora. I represent Il Giornale. This is one leading Italian daily newspaper. Thank you so much for inviting me here. We will be talking about electric mobility. I'm talking about two wheels, but also four wheels. In terms of electric mobility, well, until a while ago, people didn't know when it would come. Well, here it comes. 100% electric or electrified, hybrid. Well, this is something that's really happening. It's growing. We have plenty of problems to solve. Still too expensive. And then we have the charging stations. So yes, we do have some, but not enough. So once again, if you buy an electric car, well, of course, you hope you won't run out of energy. There are so many, if you will, psychological problems that we still have to go through and solve. So we will be talking about this with some key authoritative speakers representing two wheels, four wheels, and electric mobility. Now, we have some data from ACEA, so the European Car Makers Association. So they tell us that there's a significant improvement and, increase of electric mobility. We now have 6.8% in the first quarter of this year. So coronavirus is a bad thing, but in terms of electric mobility, well, people are becoming more and more familiar with this kind of mode. We will be talking about top performance four wheels, top performance two wheels. We will also be talking about services and charging stations. Adolf Fester should be listening to us from Maserati here in Modena. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Okay, you were here this morning and now you are back home. Okay, please be as short as possible when answering because we only have 30 minutes to go. Mr. Vesta, Mike Monley recently, in a recent presentation, so this is, the managing director of FCA, said no problems for Maserati, all plans are confirmed. So we will have the Ghibli, the first hybrid car in July, then the supercar made here in Modena, and then all of the other new cars and new developments. Can you confirm this? Yes. Okay, this is what we said this morning. So I do confirm that all the Maserati models will also be electric. And in some cases, we have the only electric cars, which is sensational. Really, I'm flabbergasted. No sound issues. No. There will be something else. Sound is not the only thing. I do share what we said before, and so the electric, let's say, universe has totally changed. And we have three different steps. At the very beginning, novelties are disliked. Then people, come to terms with new developments. And then the third stage is that people really have fun, with new developments or novelties. So in terms of electric cars, and once again, this is absolutely proven in terms of, critical aspects of this technology. I can't say that this is the only technology for the future, let's say, systems or powertrain, but of course it's one of the alternatives for the future. Okay, Livia Cevolini is here. So Livia is from Modena. Livia is the CEO Energica. So here we're talking about top performance bikes, but they are full electric. Really would like to congratulate Livia because your company is really booming. There's an incredible global expansion process. Congratulations, and once again, this is another pearl here in the Motor Valley. So top performance bikes with an electric motor. So people like them. Yes, they like them based on our turnover. So if you consider the reaction of the general audience, but also the specialists of the so-called e-bike or the GP e-bike, Of course, we are the only constructors, I mean, of the bikes for the electric championship. Everyone is so happy. After the first year of racing, we only received the congratulations. So what you said before is absolutely true. So people are aware of the fact that the technology is ready. It is up to the task, and it can be compared with diesel or fuel. And I think that people are not aware of the fact that, of course, we have to go electric. What about the let's say, battery? I mean, well, basically, we have around 250 kilometers, almost 300 kilometers in town, so this is no longer an issue. This is exactly what our competitors do with fuel. It very much depends on the use. For example, in the tracks, of course, batteries suffer a little bit more, so the let's say the duration of competitions, or let's say, is a little shorter. Anyway, in terms of performances, basically we are at the same level, and in terms of the kilometer range, we are very close. Okay, Maserati is a top performance car, or a dream car, or even aspirational cars. What about costing for bikes that Energica is offering? What about costing? For example, I'm not really talking about the electric Vespa. I'm talking about the top performance bikes. Let's say, on average, we have 5,000 euros more expensive. Of course, I'm talking about the same top-of-the-range configuration. Wait a second, this is the purchase cost. I mean, the following cost, I mean, the operation costs are much lower. So, of course, energy is much cheaper than fuel or, for example, gasoline. But even the, I mean, there's less maintenance. Basically, I mean, the breakup is 2 years. Okay, so basically, you just can, let's say, well, use your bike for 2 years, and then wait a second. We also have a banker here, so we can talk about loans and funding systems. Livia, thank you so much. Paolo Meneghini is the CEO of A2A Energy Solutions. Good morning. Well, good afternoon, I should say, Mr. Meneghini. I think you are in Milan. Yes. I'm a work-at-homer today. Let's make the point on charging stations. One of the hottest topics which is being solved is to make sure we have as many charging stations as possible. At the same time, we have to have consistency, so the plugs and then all of the accessories and the tools. So what is your company offering about this? And once again, your company name is A2A. What's your state of the art? Well, basically, we are a local utility here in Milan, and let's say that one of the key features of this company is build infrastructures. At the same time, we are, let's say, generating electricity. So we generate it and we distribute electricity. This is our approach. So basically, we build the infrastructure, and as you said before, the charging stations. The so-called range anxiety, as you said before. I have an electric car, and of course I have to be a reasonable, easygoing in terms of being sure I can, charge my car whenever I need to. So this is our approach. We would like to develop the recharge infrastructure as quickly as possible with many different types of solutions, so that the electric car users won't bump into this problem. In terms of figures, so we are now the leading operator in Lombardy, and right now we have 700 charging stations here in Lombardy. How many in the city? How many in Milan? 380. Anyway, this is what you can find, once again, on a, let's say, public space. But of course, we are encouraging people and companies to install charging stations at the main headquarters of companies. We started doing this. Of course, we are, charging ourselves, our service cars. So there's a major impact on the city and on the transition towards a more sustainable mobility. We made one of the largest charging hubs It's a huge equipped parking lot so that we can recharge our service cars here in Milan. We have 100 charging stations in the same parking lot and in different office buildings. COVID-19 and the pandemic that we are still experiencing. Car sharing or e-hailing is now an issue. Both, I mean, four wheels and two wheels. I mean, people are now asking plenty of questions. You know, when they borrow, for example, a car, well, of course, people want to know who's been in that car before. So now sharing was very much, let's say, matched to mobility and electric mobility, right? You're right. I mean, sharing a bike or a car sharing is a fundamental support that we want to give to Milan. Many sharing companies that we work with are now operating in large metropolitan areas, especially Milan. So these sharing companies are, let's say, natively full electric, while now many of them are moving to electric, let's say, mobility. I think this is a fundamental element, and I know that, well, COVID was a sort of a freeze, I mean, a stop that lasted for around 3 months. But almost all mobility solutions will need some updates and adjustments. So this means we need to stay focused on this. I hope the context doesn't change enough again, and so, well, people are, you know, say that, of course, we will go back to ordinary mobility thanks to vaccines. Anyway, sharing also has another meaning or a different interpretation, if you will. I'm talking about corporate fleets. If you consider metropolitan areas or built-up areas, I mean, the so-called intra-city mobility, well, this may be impacted by large corporate fleets. Mr. Meneghini, thank you so much. Please don't leave. There may be questions for you. Rainbow Tarikani is the co-CEO commercial banking for UniCredit. Just one quick question to Livia Cevolini. A yes, no question. Can we invent a sharing company managing two wheels? Well, no. Maybe this is for corporate fleets. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated. What do you think about sharing? Some dealers are trying to do this, not in Italy. Somebody tried in Italy. It's still difficult, but we are doing great in the US and in the Netherlands. Mr. Tarikani, are you there? Yes? So together with Mrs. Cevolini and the previous speakers, we were talking about loans or, let's say, financing systems. So what are banks doing in terms of transition to energy or to electricity? I know it's not easy now because of coronavirus. So what is your role and which kind of new ideas are around the corner? Now, as for the banking business, of course, what we do is selling loans, right? So there's an ongoing transformation, well, going on right now, and previous speakers already talked about this. Of course, as a bank, we have to make sure this transformation is as smooth and easy as possible, also by, you know, leveraging tools from the governments, okay? So incentives and bonuses. I think we have to work on two different pillars. Pillar number one, we have to have a perfect financial product range, helping people purchase products together with, you know, it's not just the purchase, it's also the use of the product. People are now using products in a different way, okay? So in the past we had ownership, now we have the use instead of ownership or possession. So we are working on this. For example, we work so much on leasing or long-term rental. There's a second pillar which is fundamental for us. I'm talking about the use of the credit, so the use of the loans that we offer. I think that we have to leverage digital channels, the so-called instant lending. So banks today have all the data of their customers available 24/7, so no bureaucracy, no lengthy red tape, which quite often is a big hurdle. Once again, we have to work in a very synergistic way, and again, there will be bonuses, there will be tax reliefs. bureaucracy is so difficult to remove in Italy, and I know it's also sort of, well, slowing down also your industry. We need to create simple solutions and processes. For example, this is something we're working on right now. Giving a loan when a person purchases a car, this means, filling out forms and then bringing documents and then having a long waiting time. So because we now have the possibility to pre-score our customers, I mean, we sort of verify the credit worthiness of our customers. So you think you pay, for example, 30,000 euros with a credit card. Well, in that case, instead of paying 30,000 euros, you are just activating or receiving a loan. This means that the customer is sure, so the loan was pre-decided or pre-rated. This means that the purchase process will be much shorter and easier. Vincenzo Rossi is the president of Innovia. Mr. Rossi, good afternoon. And thank you for being with us. Now, a startup incubator, so you help develop ideas. Okay, so let's talk about these ideas in terms of electric mobility. So what are the latest news? Now, we are, checking this market with a very specific focus. Okay, we are, let's say, a group of companies, maybe much more than an incubator. In the past 10 years, we have set up 10 different companies, all of them operating in mobility, electric mobility, I have to say. I think that this is one of the key trends. Of course, I'm talking about the light or even ultra-light mobility. Of course, I'm talking about a context where it is really, really so important to also consider many other forms of mobility. In terms of light and ultralight systems, well, this is a very strong European trend. Just to give you an order of magnitude, I mean, in terms of Milan, here in Milan, we have, well, some measures have been implemented, and some features, I mean, of the city are being changed. I mean, we are exploring the possibility to, let's say, have many, many more electric vehicles in Milan. So this is what's happening in Milan. So there will be many, many more electric vehicles, so light and ultra-light vehicles, so bicycles, but also many other types of means of transportation for the city. They will represent a significant volume. In 2024, we will have around 7 million new vehicles of this new type. This year, there's been a decrease of the activity also in this sector because of COVID-19. Electric vehicles, as Mrs. Cevolini said before, they are a little more expensive. So these vehicles, anyway, have a sort of a striking difference versus the ordinary vehicles, so costs are still very high. Of course, plenty of electronic systems will be fitted into these vehicles, so plenty of electronics. This means that, for example, the bicycle was a purely mechanical means of transportation. In the future, very simple bicycles will turn into electronic vehicles with plenty of built-in electronics, and they will become very similar to many other means of transportation. So you said 7 million such vehicles. So do you think that in the future, in the near future, there will be plenty of opportunities for electric mobility, or do you see a downtrend or a problem due to COVID or the high costs and then the economy that has collapsed, so people have less money in their pockets? Now, what we think is, and of course I'm talking about the near future, so what's about to happen. For example, in the next 6 months or so, there will be a big comeback to privately owned cars. As previous speaker said, sharing of every kind, so public means of transportation or shared means will be a key problem. And of course, it has to be overcome, from the social, health, but also psychological point of view. Anyway, this being said, so after some months, for example, I think we need to wait for 1.5, maybe 2 years. In the city, this problem has to be solved. Of course, public means of transportation to avoid the traffic or traffic congestion. For example, here in Milan, before the pandemic, we had 150,000 parcels a day distributed by 11,000 vans, but they were partly empty, generating 27% of pollution in Milan. So this is not sustainable. Well, actually, it was not sustainable. And then just imagine, if we have to use even more polluting vans just to distribute and deliver parcels, well, of course, we need to get a solution. I'm sure that local governments, local authorities, but also national and European governments will have to do something. Encouraging, supporting the use of low pollution or non-polluting vehicles. Of course, there will be some difficulties, the next year. But of course, we need tax reliefs in order to encourage people to buy these electric vehicles. As far as metropolitan areas are concerned, maybe long-haul projects are a little bit more difficult, especially in terms of the so-called last mile. Yes. We have 9 minutes to go, so back to Harald Vesta, Executive Chairman Maserati. Mr. Vesta, back to you. Now, the Maserati Day has been postponed. Are you considering a new date? No, we are thinking about this. So, of course, here in Italy, there's phase 2, and then there's phase 3 still to be launched. So if everything goes well, we are not far away from that date. So you talked about electrified cars. In terms of costs, also in the case of Maserati, are you considering use instead of ownership? So what do you think about use and ownership? Well, now, in terms of supercars, there's a major benefit, especially if you make a comparison with, let's say, mass segments. Okay, super premium. Okay, yeah, super premium, not supercars. Okay, super premiums means, the, power trains that today we have on the cars, combustion engines, they are top level, top-notch quality, and their costs are much higher than any other cost we have in other segments. So replacement is less difficult. This is what we see today. The markets, consumers, and then circumstances around us are really changing so quickly. And I have to say that every single company has to adapt to stay relevant, to stay important, and maybe to take advantage of future trends. Now, as for the past and all the values that we are now injecting into these cars, well, I think that we need to understand that the past is the past. We need to remember our successful recipes and solutions. And Harald Vesta, a super engineer for many, many years. You've been operating in the Fiat Group, now FCA. Are you nervous because of this Maserati electric, let's say, new era? Well, I'm not nervous. I'm excited because, of course, I look forward, to replacing these values. So there are some specific values in our cars, well, especially with Maserati, so the noise, the typical noise of the engine, there will be no strong emotions. Mr. Vesta, thank you so much for taking part in our digital fest. Back to Livia Cevolini. Couple of questions on the so-called phase 2 decree, so the reopening, relaunch April or May. Have you been disappointed? Yes, I mean, we counted on this so much in order to relaunch the local market. Now, Italy is an important potential market for us, and unfortunately now with no incentives, it's going to be hard. But, well, never say never, because, well, actually the objective is that there will be, well, maybe we will have, more time to better analyze the Italian market. So I hope that, these incentives will be postponed and delayed. Otherwise the national or domestic two-wheels market may keep going down. What is important for you is the sale of electric powertrains. Yes, so we cooperate with Dell'Orto Group. And with Dell'Orto, we would like to supply, powertrains. Basically, we derive our we put together our engineering and their industrialization so as to reach economies of scale, so costs that would make electric competitive. What about EICMA, so the big trade fair in Milan? Hopefully, we will have EICMA in Milan in November. Thank you so much and congratulations for the internationalization process. Okay, let me go back to energy solution, A2A. So your final target in 5 years, so hopefully coronavirus is a memory. So I hope there will be a very strong recovery, a global recovery. So what may be the state of the art in 5 years of your charging stations? Now, this is a major infrastructural development, and this also concerns the electrification of consumption. This is what we are supporting. So this is one of the business lines we have within A2A Energy Solutions, but we also do other things. For example, we make photovoltaic plants, and then what we do is energy efficiency systems for our end users. We also manage renewable energy generating plants. I think that electric mobility is one of the parts of the sustainability, let's say, philosophy that we have for the future, because what we use is 100% certified renewable energy for our projects. This is very important. So this is the view we have on our growth. I mean, I'm not just talking about how many, well, charging stations I will build. I mean, this is easy to do. We would like to have 1,500 charging stations at the end of the project. The problem is how? Well, with sustainable mobility, because we would like to have these solutions on top of energy efficiency improving actions, which is what we carry out at our end users. So we will be supporting the transition that I have mentioned before. There will be more and more electric mobility for corporate fleets. And the very important point is the last mile, as you said before. In terms of, impact on our customer base, this is really very important. We have so many small vans delivering parcels and packages in our cities. So this is one of the key pathways we are interested into, because we would like to have a more integrated vision of the word sustainability. Okay, we have 90 seconds to go. UniCredit, commercial banking for Italy. I think we need to thank the so-called Telepass, the automatic toll-paying system. And this is one of the key, if you will, strengths of the new Italian banking system. Well, once again, the toll, motorway toll payment is just one of the main examples, but In my personal opinion, I think that banks are now getting out of their boundaries, as we say here. For example, we're now able to get into the smartphones of our customers. For example, we've been able to offer, let's say, smartphone-based e-payments. I'm pretty sure that in the future we will be able to also have the same experience in or on bikes and cars. Okay, so UniCredit's next step will be this one only. Oh, no, not just by ourselves. Of course, we need partners to make this happen. Vincenzo Rossi, CEO Innovia, last question for you. Are there some companies that really need to thank you? Oh, no. I mean, I don't want anyone to say, well, thank you to me. I mean, we need to thank them. We're just cooperating with some wonderful companies and organizations, of course, the Motor Valley, so Emilia-Romagna. So many things are changing, well, especially thanks to electrification. Let me mention a couple of examples. Yes, very briefly. For example, the regeneration systems on braking systems and suspensions. This is very important, and of course, we also have the possibility to build a brand new world in terms of future mobility. Mr. Rossi, thank you so much. Also would like to thank you. Really would like to thank Livia. Thank you, Livia. Thank you for being in this wonderful Pavarotti Theatre, okay? I will see you in a couple of hours. So we will be talking about talent management. Thank you so much.